Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and welcome to Jen's Story. It's been a while since I've made a video in English and some of you guys have been asking for more, so this one is for you. As you may know, I am on my journey to learn French and I can't empathize enough how much I love a podcast called Inner French. I think it's perfect for the intermediate learners like me. The other day, I stumbled upon a particularly interesting episode titled 8 conseils pour progresser en français, which translates to tips or advice to improve French. I thought it was such a fascinating topic. Personally, I'm very passionate about language learning, obviously, but I also believe that this tip will be helpful for you too, as they're applicable to any other languages. So in this video, I'm super excited to share 7 of those tips from the podcast, along with my own experience blended in. Vous êtes prêtes? C'est parti! So, what's the first thing that you need to do when you start learning a new language? Well, I bet a lot of people get stuck right at the beginning because they're not sure where to start. There are too many resources out there, too many methods to try, so it's easy to feel overwhelmed, and I completely understand how it feels. It's like you're standing in front of a buffet with too many options and you just don't know what to pick. Some people might go out and get a bunch of grammar books or pattern books or sign up for online courses, but to be honest, that might not be the best move. The very first thing that you gotta do when you're starting out with a new language is to set yourself a goal. Setting a goal in language learning isn't just about making some vague resolutions like, I'll improve my English this year. No, that's just way too broad. Your goal needs to be specific, something that you can actually achieve in a short period of time. If you're learning French like me, for example, you could aim to be able to chat about your daily life for 10 minutes in French, or order food confidently in a restaurant or cafe, or introduce yourself and talk about your hobbies or job to someone speaking French. But here's the kicker, your goal needs to be measurable. You gotta know whether you have actually succeeded or not. And also, don't forget to set a deadline as well. Aim to achieve your goal in the next 2 months or for your next holiday, for example. Once you've got those goals locked in, you can start planning your strategy to crush them. Think about what movies or dramas you could watch, what vocabularies you need to learn, what grammar structures to focus on, etc. So having those clear goals not only helps you track your progress, but also it keeps you motivated and confident in your abilities. This principle isn't just about language learning, I reckon. It's something that applies to pretty much every aspect of our lives. When we start something new, whether it's hitting the gym or learning a new language, it's so tempting to have these big lofty goals right from the beginning. But here's the thing, if those goals are too high, we are setting ourselves up for failure. Let me give you an example from my own life. In my early 20s, when I decided to start working out, I was like, I'm gonna hit the gym 6 days a week. And guess what? It was just way too much for me to handle. And when I inevitably didn't meet that goal, I felt like a failure. It was just so discouraging and I didn't want to continue because I didn't even trust myself that I could actually make it. The truth is, when we are starting something new, we can't expect to completely flip our reality upside down overnight. If you've never been a big reader, it's not realistic to suddenly expect yourself to spend 2 hours a day with your nose buried in a book, right? It takes time to adjust to new routines and new habits. So instead of aiming for those fancy goals from the beginning, try to take things one step at a time. Set smaller, more manageable tasks that you know that you are capable of doing it. And celebrate those victories no matter how small they may seem, and gradually work your way up from there. How about giving a casual sitcom a try instead of jumping straight into science fiction movies if you're planning to pick up some new sentences and memorize them? And if handling 30 sentences a day seems overwhelming, why not just start 10 sentences each day? It's all about finding the right balance that works for you. Plus, you can progressively increase the difficulty of your objectives to keep yourself motivated. Write down all the things that you want to try for language learning and begin with the easiest one first. I've come across some YouTube videos suggesting that you can achieve fluency in English in just 3 months. And yeah, maybe that's possible for some people, but realistically, that's only feasible if you're already familiar with learning foreign languages and have 8 hours a day to dedicate to studying. And honestly, that's not the reality for most of us, including myself. I didn't start trying to speak English until I turned 20. Before that, I had never even left Korea and had no opportunities to naturally speak English in my life. Even after 1 year living in France, where all my uni lecture was in English, and after spending another year working in Australia, where English was the primary language, I didn't feel confident speaking English. It took me years to build that confidence, and you know what? That's normal. It's okay if you don't see any magical progress in your language learning journey. Like, progress in language learning isn't always magical or instantaneous. It takes time, dedication, and patience. There is no quick fix, no secret method that will make you fluent in 3 months. But if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll get there eventually. Just like I did with English, I know that I'll get there with French too. So instead of chasing after some magical method promising fluency in 3 months, let's stay patient, keep pushing forwards to it, and trust that the progress will come, slowly but surely. We just discussed the importance of patience in language learning. But if the progress takes time, how do we keep ourselves motivated without getting anxious about our end goals? It all comes down to the power of habit. We need to make language learning a part of our daily routine, something that happens almost automatically. By programming our brains properly, learning can become an unconscious process, which means you don't have to put too much effort for it. For example, try dedicating an hour every day to learn a new language. You can make time by waking up earlier or finding a slot during the day that works for you. Personally, I spend 1 hour each day in April listening to French podcasts, half in the morning, half in the evening. You might think that you don't have time, but often it's about priorities. If language learning is important to you, you'll make time. If not, well, maybe you need to revisit the tip number 1 and reassess your goals. Another trick is to integrate language learning into your existing routine. Listen to the podcast while at the gym or while you go for a walk or watching YouTube videos while cooking dinner. By associating language learning with the activities that you already do, you make it easier to stick to your routine. Trust me, if you turn language learning into a habit, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can progress. And if you want more tips on how to create language learning habits, you can check out my other video. It's in Korean. I've actually dedicated an entire video to this topic, so I won't dive deeper into it here. The gist is, try to immerse yourself in the language you're learning as much as possible in your daily life. Change the language setting on your phone, laptop, or read, watch, or listen to the content in that language, or even listen to the music in it. For more detailed tips, you can check this video. I believe this is the most crucial tip that can overshadow all the others, because when you genuinely enjoy the language learning, to be honest, you don't need a list of tips on how to improve your language. You will naturally immerse yourself in that language driven by your passion for it. So if you are one of those who genuinely enjoys the language learning process, congratulations, you can stop video right here. But if you haven't found joy in your language learning journey, then this is for you. Among all the methods that people talk about, what worked for me, what worked for them, you need to find something that you genuinely enjoy. I often mention in my videos to try different method until you find the one you enjoy. Some people become fluent by binge watching series for hours, while others make huge progress through reading extensively. For me, it was picking sentences from dramas or movies and memorizing them. That really boosted my English skills. So everyone's taste in language learning is different. You can also find activities you enjoy doing in the language that you're learning. Personally, I love creating video content, and also I love sharing what I've learned from my language learning journey. So for example, to make this video that I'm filming right now, I listened to the same French podcast 6 times, like all in French. See, like I'm trying to find a way to blend something I enjoy with the language that I'm learning. If you love cooking, try finding recipes in a foreign language. If you're into football, watch channels in that language. In that way, you will naturally practice a new language while doing something you love. When I was listening to the podcast about these language learning tips, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm learning French. No, I was just simply doing what I enjoy, and it happened to be in French. I believe language learning mirrors our life in many ways. The same principles applies to every aspect of our lives. When we are learning something new, or meeting new people, or being exposed by a new environment, our brains start working really hard. We actively seek out new information, process it, and think about how to adapt to the situation. And through this process, we grow. We gain a deeper understanding of things and develop different perspectives. On the other hand, when we are stick to what's comfortable to us, our brain goes on autopilot, like we do things unconsciously because we're just so used to them. The same goes for language learning. Like listening to a new language can be daunting at first. I remember when I went to France in March, I had dinner with some friends of my friend. They spoke so fast and I was in the middle of them trying to understand, like catch their words and just follow the context at least. And one of her friends asked me that, isn't it too stressful for you to keep listening to French and speaking French? But you know what? I was actually enjoying it. That's what I wanted to experience. Being surrounded by French speakers and the language, and that would be how my French would improve. Like that's how I get better at things. Getting out of my comfort zone even though I feel uncomfortable. Stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't mean that you have to move to English-speaking country and always hang out with local people to learn English. Remember tip number 2, do things progressively. If you feel too comfortable with the podcast that you've been listening to, try adjusting the speed a little faster than usual. If you are too familiar with the movies that you've been watching, why not choose something a bit more challenging? If you've been practicing talking to yourself, try finding a language exchange partner online or booking a tutoring session with native speakers. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, but just do it multiple times. Just repeat it. Like listen to the same podcast 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. You will find yourself understanding more and more, and it will start to feel easier and easier. And if you ever feel too comfortable again, congratulations, you've progressed. So this is the end of today's video. I hope you find these tips useful and relevant to your own language learning journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!